Hi, Greg. How are you?
I'm doing well, Anna. How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. My cat decided to join this meeting, so I hope you don't mind.
Oh, no worries.
Okay. So, Greg, please tell us about your work as art director in this movie and how you work with other departments to create this feeling, this sense of analogic environment for this movie.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, as I'm sure you know, like filmmaking just itself by nature is a hugely collaborative effort, right? And in the sets department, we're always, working with all of the downstream departments to kind of come to the greatest image on screen at the end of the day, right? And so, like early on, we're taking a look at like how are you going to see this, like for instance, like a cockpit. We're designing cockpit for a spaceship, and a lot of what we're going to design and model is going to be determined by how are we going to see it, right? What kind of angles are we going to see the camera placed in inside this thing? What is Buzz going to be doing in there? And let's make that stuff look as best as it possibly can, because that's the stuff you see, right? So we'll be working with the layout department who is positioning the cameras, right? We'll be giving artwork to the sets department, which is building the cockpit. We'll be talking with lighting and with shading, and they're the ones that are adding all the color and all of, the lighting inside of that space. So we're all kind of in there together trying to figure out like what is the best way to portray this stuff. What do we want to spend our time on to make it look awesome? And so it's very highly collaborative project, and it's awesome because everybody is excellent at what they do.
Yeah, that's right. You've been working in Pixar for like 13 years now, right?
Yep. Yeah. 2009 is when I started. Yep.
Yeah. So how is it? I suppose you get to know each other so well that sometimes maybe you can just communicate without even saying it. Like everybody knows what you want and what you need.
Yeah.
But all the teams form together for each movie also.
Yeah. It's so, I mean, the way it often works, and the way it worked on this film was you eventually kind of all arrive in this area of trust, like after you've worked together for a long enough time, and especially it's great where, you have a director like Angus who knows what he wants, right? And is able to be very targeted on things he likes and the direction he wants to go in. And you reach a point where like, there were a couple times during production where we had, a really good showing in art, or we kind of landed on a particular look and Angus reacted and was like, that's the look that I want my movie to be. And we have then a clear path to go in, and everybody can kind of feed off of that and like kind of tap into that energy or that aesthetic. And then it kind of becomes established, right? And everybody sort of gets it and knows the direction that we're going as a team. And then it just kind of like, goes like clockwork, right? Like somebody will show like a model they're working on and be like, yeah, that's it. That's the look, and everybody sees that and they're like, okay, like that. And then, by the end of the movie, like everybody's very kind of, like honed in, like we know the movie we're making, what it needs to look like. And you can almost just kind of, somebody can give you a project and be like, oh, I know what a recycling can looks like in our world. I can just make it. You don't have to, kind of work out. The discovery aspect has been taken care of earlier on. So it's a really fun process, and getting there with the team is pretty magical, being able to kind of see everybody sort of kind of get into that headspace.
Yeah, right. But I guess you have certain challenges because this is a movie set on space.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, I think a big one for us was this is a very visually distinct film from our other Pixar movies, and it meant we had to kind of design everything from scratch, right? We can't really use elements from other films that we've done in here because everything needs to be sci-fi and needs to fit within this chunky cinematic world that we've created. So it's this double-edged sword of like, everything gets to look unique and awesome and specific for our world. But we also have to design everything from scratch, right? So that was like a huge challenge. But it was really fun because I think it really lends the movie a very specific flavor. You would not mistake a frame from this movie with any other movie that we've made before.
Right, especially knowing this character. I mean, one version of this character, which is the toy, the Buzz Lightyear toy. So it's not the same character and it's not the same world. I mean, this is a movie within a movie universe.
Mhm.
So how did you manage to achieve that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's one of those things where we have the Buzz Lightyear, the toy that we all know and love, right? And at the same time, like we all have like the kind of movie that we want to make, right? And with Buzz, it's interesting because the toy version of Buzz, like you've always had little peeks into like the world he inhabits by things he says, but you never actually get to see it. So it can kind of be anything, right? And we also wanted to make something that is the kind of film that we would want to watch like as kids. And so you kind of have this awesome license to be able to create something completely new and unexpected for the audience. But at the same time, you want to kind of, you don't want to stray from the source material. You want this, you know, this character in the world of Amazon to be obviously Buzz Lightyear, right?
Right.
So yeah, it's definitely like a balancing act that you're always kind of, when you're designing, you're kind of like, oh, does this feel too un-Buzz Lightyear like, or this feel, like, does this fit within the world that we're going for? So yeah, you're always kind of constantly questioning, and luckily you have a director and a team around you that like work together to kind of hone that stuff in and make it all fit.
Right, and the director Angus, he said that he wanted a very cinematic look and also kind of like an analog stylization, and this is the first Pixar movie specifically designed for IMAX. I think that's huge.
Yeah.
So what does it mean for you, like as animators?
Well, I mean, just speaking specifically for myself, like the IMAX stuff was like just something that was super. I think it more informed the kind of movie that we're making here, right? Like we are making something that is going to be like big on screen, impressive, like blockbuster, right? Like that flavor of movie is not something that we've really necessarily done here before, at least in terms of like an action sci-fi epic. So I think that aspect of it, even though like the IMAX component of it didn't determine anything that I needed to do in this design space, but I think that just as a crew, like knowing the movie that you're making is really helpful. Like that informs that. Is like we're just trying to make everything feel awesome and cinematic and big and exciting and detailed, the kind of thing that you would expect to see like on the big screen, right? And so at least from a design standpoint, the cinematic element of it really found its way in with how we treated the design of our world and the detail level and kind of the visual richness of it, right? Like all of the shaded detail, texture, and the technology, just the amount of fidelity that we had in all the designs, the seams, the grills, all the little fasteners and everything. We spent so much time adding all of that stuff in so that when you put it into a shot and you light it, like it's not simplified in the way that we've done on some other movies where it's like the style is minimal or kind of what do I say, cartoonified in a certain way. In our world, it's very much kind of like we're embracing the detail and letting that kind of show up on screen, but also kind of losing it when we light scenes a certain way, discarding visual information to make impressive images with beautiful lighting is kind of a big thing that we did on this movie as well.
It's amazing. So congratulations, Greg. We're out of time, but it was a pleasure talking to you. And thank
Anna,
you so much
thank you so much.
All of this.